News dump. Oh, looks like Mac came rolling into this dump. What up, Mac Durst?
Hey, buddy. Hey, pal. It's funny that you just made that reference because look at the headlines.
All right, coming up this week on News Dump, we have weekend box office number. Dafne Keen, she to give up her spleen. Gambit's alive? Question mark. Keep Brolin. Kingpin's feeling swampy. This isn't where Batman parked his car. Somehow Gandolf returned. An alien Star Wars shared universe. Steve Harvey's here. No abortions for Jurassic World. And Jim Carrey stars in The Parent Trap. But before we get to those headlines, news dump. So, Mac, I am having a lovely weekend, lovely Saturday with the family. We are running errands. We go to Home Goods. I'm a Maxinista. With my 4-year-old son, he says, Daddy, I want to see the Halloween decorations as one does. So I say yes. And we walk over there. We're looking at all the Halloween decorations. And I reach over and pick up a bust of what I assume they're calling sexy Frankenstein. And this motherfucker looks just like me.
Spitting image.
It is insane. I was flabbergasted. I'm looking around the store and I'm like, am I some kind of a fucking joke to you people? Am I a clown? This is literally Homer discovering the fish bulb in The Simpsons or finding the mannequin. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, have they been tracking me as I've been coming into these stores and then they made this off of my likeness?
Yeah, you got to sue someone. I don't know who you're supposed to sue, but you should sue someone.
Who do I talk to?
It looks exactly like you, except you're like dark green, but it's you.
Yeah, and I mean, they try and snazz it up a little bit. They're, I have a mustache. They curl it a little bit. They put the big fake glasses on me, but it's the exact same haircut. It's like the same bone structure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you do your best to be a cartoon character, and finally, there it is. It's come full circle. You are a cartoon character.
And this also comes less than a week after I click on a video on YouTube of fun things from the 90s. And I click on it, and the host of that video looks exactly like me too. Am I not unique?
Yeah, and you know what? When we started this podcast, I didn't have a mustache, and now I do. So maybe I'm slowly becoming you as well.
Is the world shaping into a bunch of goos? Goose dump. Mac, weekend box office back at the top is Deadpool and Wolverine. $20 million this past weekend. They have won 5 of their 6 weeks. I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter who had on Friday. They're like, Deadpool and Wolverine projected to win box office again because of general lack of trying.
Yeah, it's been not the best year in movies, and we've really seen that these last couple months.
Well, we called that ahead of time, though. We said as soon as this movie came out, we're like, Alien Romulus might do something for a week, but we had already gotten Inside Out 2. We had already gotten Twisters. So they gave everything at the beginning of the summer, and August has pretty much just been a wasteland.
I mean, if you look at my Letterboxd, I think I have Dune Part 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine clearly as the top 2.
Yeah.
Pretty decent gap, and then a bunch of really good movies, solid movies.
Yeah.
But there's a staunch drop-off after that. There's been a lot of bad movies this year.
Well, I have a slightly different one. I go Dune 2, bit of a drop-off. Deadpool, Wolverine, bit of a drop-off, and then everything else.
I'm pretty similar to that.
I just saw on the Peacock, the bike riders, and
Peacock.
I'll tell you what, I was not prepared for how silly it was, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Didn't I tell you that a couple weeks ago, how good it was?
You didn't tell me how silly it was, though.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, you got Jodie Comer's accent, and then also Tom Hardy and Austin Butler really acting it up in a silly way.
But also the reasons why Hardy formed the bike gang and the people that are in the bike gang. It's just a bunch of people that were just bored and they just wanted to hang out.
I guess that's maybe how things were. I mean, it is based on a true story. It's funny though, like you have Michael Shannon's in that movie for like 8 minutes,
He's
but he's
great too.
awesome.
Michael Shannon, and I know we say a lot about Jesse Plemons making Plemonade. Shannon also.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name doesn't rhyme with anything.
Even
We'll
all the way
have to
back to
have
8
this
Mile. Greg
conversation.
Buell. Me, him, and you,
Yeah.
we went to the same school.
If you can think of something for Michael Shannon, we'll give him a nod. It
Okay.
either needs to be alliteration or rhyme, or we're not going to do it.
Sure, sure.
Let's get back to the box office. Alien Romulus at $11 million. The Ronald Reagan biopic that has Scott Stapp as Frank Sinatra, that made $10 million. That was a big surprise. I think forecasted it was under 8, so that did better than expected. Twisters and It Ends With Us around 9.5, and all of these movies are looking to be bumped down this week when Beetlejuice hits theaters, and that is projected to make over $100 million.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing, honestly, as two people who really like Beetlejuice. You love Beetlejuice. I don't know what went on that this is tracking so well and people are wanting to see this, but apparently it's going to make over 100 million at the box office this weekend. And the early scores are out, 78% on Roddy Tease, a 63 on Metacritic. So the critics are generally liking it.
Yeah, so I've seen for the most part just like the headlines. I don't really want to read too much into it, but a lot of it is just like it captures some of the magic.
Okay. Yep. So it strikes me, based on those two things, that this is probably going to be like 80% of the original.
News dump. Dafne Keen told Empire magazine that she would like to play X-23 for the rest of her life. She wants to come back to the MCU as the character. Would you, right now, lock her up to a lifetime contract?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what a lifetime contract would look like in terms of film contracts. And first of all, it's possible. What if she just traded her spleen? Dafne Keen's spleen.
Oh, by the way, we're gonna try this out. I know that this is like 5 minutes after, but we're gonna start writing headlines for each other, and then I'll read when Mac writes them.
Yeah.
Mac will read when I write them. And that was the first time that we had done that. That's why I was giggling. I wasn't laughing at my own jokes.
I don't know. So let's. How old is she? Like 21?
I don't know.
In that, like 18 to 21. She's in that range. She's an adult.
She's anywhere from 18 to 30.
So let's say a lifetime contract is like those bullshit lifetime supply things. So not really a lifetime contract. Let's say it's 40 years. Let's say 40 years, and she has to do 20 movies in 40 years. That probably, what would it be, like 250 million?
I was
500 million?
I would tell her don't do that. That's a bad idea. But
every Marvel movie would be so-and-so and X-23.
I also do love her as the character, and I do love that character. So, I mean, give it to us again. But if I'm her, I'm not signing a lifetime contract.
It's tough to even really wrap your mind around that.
News dump. Speaking of coming back to the MCU, could we see Gambit once again? We got a deleted scene from Deadpool and Wolverine that technically was in the movie. It was on one of the TVA screens in the post-credit. But it is Gambit at the end of that compound fight looking up and seeing Marvel sparkle circles.
I am the Gambit. I don't know if we'll ever see him again, and we talked about this a couple times now. I don't think we should see him again. I think what we got was absolutely perfect, and I don't think we need a Gambit solo movie. I just don't think we need it.
No, I would like an X-Men movie. I'm not sure if I want him in that X-Men movie. I also saw some people on social media being like, hey, you should do Marvel Disney Plus, like 45-minute shorts for all of these characters from Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think it's important to know when to stop. And that comes from a podcast that should have stopped years ago.
I mean, seriously, though, part of the magic of that character and that cameo is that it's contained right there. And it will lose some of the mystique. That's a character.
Oh, that's
some of the
X-Man. That's an X-Man.
Actually, there was a Reddit thread.
And Aurora? Isn't that Storm's name?
Hypothesizing, that Gambit was actually Mystique because his eyes glue at the end. You dummies, they glue because the sparkle circle was bouncing off his eyes.
Also, we spoke about this. We need someone with a more slender face, like someone that if you were making a bust of Frankenstein, you would like make their face like if they want to reach out to me, I could be Gambit. Man, hold on,
I am the Goombit.
the Gambit. News dump. Oh, we got a lantern via Jeff Schneider. He said that Josh Brolin has reportedly been offered a role of Hal Jordan, the role of Hal Jordan in the DCU Lantern series. Mac, does that get you titulated?
So the only Green Lanterns I know are Hal Jordan and John Stewart, and I don't know much about Green Lantern lore. I don't remember a single thing from that fucking Ryan Reynolds movie. So basically, my only real like Green Lantern knowledge is the animated stuff from, I don't know, 20 years ago. But it does seem that Brolin might be a little too old for this role. However, I do know that he's going to be. I think he ushers in John Stewart in DCU comic lore. So this is almost like I guess for lack of a better term, like a Batman Beyondish type of situation where you have the older Batman, younger Batman, older Lantern, younger Lantern. Josh Brolin's great, so sure, cast him in everything, but he is maybe a little old.
But also, do you want him in another superhero movie? I mean, he's already played villain Thanos and anti-hero Cable. Do you want him?
So now he's going to play a good guy.
That's a good point. You got to.
No, it is. So I guess a little fatigue there, but also like I do think James Gunn isn't concerned about what the prior roles were for these actors, and like I mean, if Robert Downey Jr. can play Doctor Doom, Josh Brolin can play Hal.
Are we just going to start doing that with every single role now? Just saying, if Robert Downey Jr. could do this, why can't this person do this?
If Robert Downey Jr. can play Doctor Doom, Jim Carrey can play two characters in Sonic 3.
I'd argue he couldn't play one character in Sonic, but now we're just splitting a little blue quill hairs. News dump. Speaking of going between worlds, another possible MCU DCU double dip. Vincent D'Onofrio said that he has always wanted to play Swamp Thing.
I am notoriously not the biggest fan of his Kingpin. Swamp Thing, you could get anyone. You don't need to get a big name guy to do it, but I suppose this is what we're doing these days. I don't know. I guess if he wants to play Swamp Thing, sure. He might be the only person that wants to play Swamp Thing.
According to the TLDR Comic Book Club, it was either Doc or Fryer. I respect one of those guys more than the other. But one of those guys said this is perfect casting.
Okay. All right. So that does give us a little bit of hope there if this does come to fruition.
I just can't think back to which one told us this.
So how big of a role does Swamp Thing play in the DCU though? Like, is he that important?
I would imagine that he would play a pretty big role in a Swamp Thing television show or movie.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that bold statement.
I would agree with you on that statement.
Oh, hey-oh.
It's an environment thing, like Fern Gully.
Sure.
News dump. Oh, Mac, I'm so sorry about this, but they have answered the question that we have been asking ever since finding out the news. Batman, the Batman, Robert Pattinson, will not be in the HBO Penguin series.
Yeah, so good and bad. I'm glad they told us beforehand so we weren't sitting around for 6 or 8 episodes waiting for him to pop up.
I wish they said every time. Could he be in it? Like every week they're like, he might be in this one.
And I do get from a, quote unquote film and storytelling thing here, because Pattinson said Matt's films are through the lens of the Batman. So you're high up looking down on the city. With Oz, the Penguin, you're in the city streets, you're in the grit. It's a different experience. And I fully fundamentally get that. That just really, like, this has to be of the highest quality for me to really want to watch this show.
It's HBO.
I know. It's just, it almost feels like every time we're talking about this show, it's like it's another detriment for the show, but we'll see.
No, I'm super stoked.
All right.
News dump. Ian McKellan is going to return as Gandalf?
This is stunning. First of all, I didn't know they were making more Lord of the Rings live action movies. They're developing Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum, and they have asked McKellan to return as Gandalf, and that is interesting. I'm here for it. I just don't know, is the appetite for these movies still there?
I'm also not making a joke here. I think he's still rehabbing an injury that he suffered a while ago.
Simmons is old.
He is. I'm not like I'm being I don't know physically if he's able to do any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. He is fucking old, that's for sure.
News dump. Ripley and Grogu. Sigourney Weaver confirms that she will star in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I got to meet Grogu for the first time the other day. This is cute.
Yeah, I'm pretty intrigued. We all love Sigourney Weaver. She's obviously been great in the Avatar movies, which sort of gives you, uh, I guess, encouragement that she's going to do great in this new sci-fi role. That's been her career. Um, I'm really intrigued because we don't know much or anything really about this movie, what the actual plot of the movie is going to be, because it's Filoni led, it's Filoni flushing this out, maybe concluding the story of the Mandalorian Grogu, but he's also going to tie it into something to explain something in the Star Wars universe. So that'll be interesting.
Now, this is revisionist history, but I feel like the easier movie or the better movie that they could have done is after Luke Skywalker took Grogu, this could have been a movie of the Mandalorian trying to be out on his own, and then he needs to go and get Grogu again, and then they're back together by the end of the movie. But they did that in a season of another show.
I wonder, I wonder for those who viewed the Mandalorian binge style, like how disappointed they were when Grogu got reunited with Din that quickly. Like
I hated it.
I know, and we all we wanted was some more Jedi training type of stuff, and to separate Din and Grogu for a little bit longer to really hammer that home. And it felt like a panic decision because everyone loves the little green guy, so we got to get him back in the mix as quick as possible. It felt lazy is what it felt like.
And I'm not like the rest of you Star Wars super fans. I'm a cool guy. I don't overreact to stuff. That still pisses me off.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
What a waste. News dump. Matt, did we talk this into existence? Did we make this happen? A Steve Harvey biopic is in the works.
What story are they going to tell here? I don't get it.
I'm not watching this movie unless it's written by Cat Williams.
I want Steve Harvey to star in it too.
But it has to be written by Cat
I want
Williams.
to de-age Steve Harvey, try to play like a 17-year-old Steve Harvey with his fucking shitty ass frumpness.
Well, I just did the Steve Harvey clip that we put on social media. I'm pretty sure it went viral. And one of the clips that I did, because I'm always very turned off by the Family Feud having Steve Harvey ask questions about himself during the,
Sure.
I asked 100 people and they all want to know about Steve Harvey. But the question was, if they made a Steve Harvey movie about Steve Harvey where Steve Harvey couldn't star in the movie, who would be starring as Steve Harvey? He shoved in 100 Steve Harveys. Yes, I'm in with you. I want Steve Harvey because I also want them to put the flat top wig on him.
And if it's not Steve Harvey, give me Michael B. Jordan as Steve Harvey.
You know who actually does a great Steve Harvey?
Oh.
Chance the Rapper.
Oh, that's interesting.
And an episode of SNL, they had him doing Steve Harvey. Of course, Keenan always does Steve Harvey. Make this as satirical as possible.
Yeah, in on that. You know what? Make it like the Pharrell biopic. Give me a Lego movie.
That'd be a good flat top. News down. Got some news on the new Jurassic World movie. It is going to be called Rebirth. It'll be set 5 years after Dominion. Most of the dinosaurs have died. That's what we've all asked for. We want them released, and then we want to see them die. Some have lived, though, and it looks like who has this as the source? Who is this?
My Time to Shine.
Yeah, My Time to Shine. This guy always puts out rumors on social media that the 3 primary dinos in the world, I guess they'll be out there trying to catch these son bitches, is the Mosasaurus, the Titanosaurus, and the Quetzalcoatlus.
I was pretty excited to hear you say that third one. I would say Quetzalcoatlus? Coatlas? I
Oh,
don't
they
know.
leave their jacket at the bar?
Which one is that? Is that which one's the flying one?
Okay, so I know that the Mosasaurus is the underwater fella. I also
Okay.
do like that we have by land, by air, and by sea
Yeah.
with the with these three dinosaurs. I'm not sure. I'm gonna say the Quetzalcoatlus. That is the pterodactyl-looking motherfucker, and then why not just call him the
Titanosaurus.
Spinosaurus? Just call him Spinosaurus. What is this?
Yeah.
You get a big spine.
I don't know how they got ScarJo and Mahershala Ali to sign up for this. That must have been a
Want to
lot
hear
of
me?
money.
I'll say money.
Talks.
Money
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
answer.
I don't listen. We're big Jurassic Park guys. I'm one of the bigger Jurassic World fans there is on the planet, and I don't want this. I don't need this. I don't know who's asking for this.
Do you think the final act of the movie, like the final scene, is going to be, you know, they're all having a real difficult time. They're about to get eaten. And then out of nowhere, the Tyrannosaurus will return.
Somehow Tyrannosaurus Rex returned.
I don't know. I can't get excited about these movies anymore. I
No,
keep getting
God, no.
I keep seeing trailers every time for when they have a new movie. And I'm like, you know what? This one's going to be good. And then it ends up not being good.
You know what they needed to do, and it's too late to do it now, is Jurassic World, but A Quiet Place. The medium there. That would have been an awesome Jurassic Park movie, and it didn't happen.
And also, don't do a bug movie this time. We don't need bugs in this one.
Sure.
News down. And finally, we got a trailer for Sonic 3. We got our first look at Shadow, who will be played by Keanu Reeves, who also just turned 60. He looks great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Shadow. So I don't know anything about these characters.
Yeah.
Shadow has guns. Is that?
I think Shadow has tech. I don't think he has guns, but he has some. He's like a supercharged Sonic with tech. I think he's like a genetically altered Sonic.
He's a clone, right?
I don't know if he's a clone or not. I don't know much either. But he's basically a souped up Sonic with some tech on top of that.
Yeah, so me knowing anything about these characters is like I'm reading through an article and just picking up certain words. Is he created by Robotnik's dad?
Oh, maybe. That might be the connection here. I don't remember. I think he might have crash landed on Earth or something and they've kept him on ice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure. So the second Sonic movie I thought was a lot better than the first. And this one introducing even more characters and being more video gamey or comic booky, however you want to call it, like less with the human stuff is promising. I just want to have a nice little fun popcorn movie for this one.
Yeah, no. So like, I don't really understand beyond Sonic and Tails what's going on. But if you're going to do the fun video game stuff that they had midway through the second one on, I'll watch this. I'll have some fun with it.
And of course, Goo, in this trailer, we get Jim Carrey playing Robotnik and also his own father, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is right after Jim Carrey said that he was retiring from acting. So he's like, psych twice. Not.
Do you think they signed him to a lifetime contract?
He's like, I'm going to die soon anyways. I might as well do a lifetime
He's just doing these for fun because there's no one on set that's going to tell him what to do.
And then no one is telling him what to do. He is allowed to do. He can Jim Carrey it up as much as he wants.
I'm just imagining him coming out of the trailer like eating a muffin. And they're like, Jim, it doesn't call for a muffin in this scene. He goes, I don't care. I'm eating a muffin.
No, they go, Jim, no muffin in the scene. And he goes, really? That's what Jim Carrey would do. Just let him start talking out of his butt again. Why not?
He's always a better. It's a great episode of Curb. One of the characters can only act good while she's eating food in a scene.
Oh. There was one day I got a real good laugh at work. Someone said, "Oh, so and so called," but they were talking out of their ass, and I'm like Jim Carrey? It took a second for everyone to catch on.
Yeah.
But then one person laughed and everyone laughed. It was a real highlight of my work life.
Yeah. They talk about that every day at work now. Remember that time Goo made us laugh?
What's he up to now? Is he dead? No, he signed a lifetime contract.
He's just in that closet always doing that podcast.
It's not a closet anymore. I'm in a real fucking podcast studio now. I got lights. I have a camera.
There's no more puppets around you?
No, they took the puppets away from me.
Mm.
They don't want me around the puppets anymore.
No, that makes sense.
But to be fair, no one does anything with the puppets. Let me have the puppets.
I don't think there's anything to be done with the puppets.
And then I was told, they're like, hey, these puppets are inexpensive. You could probably get Mac and Goo puppets. And I'm like, Mac would not want that.
No,
Mac,
sure
Mac,
would.
Mac would not like that we used our funds on puppets. Our limited podcasting funds on puppets. You did what? You bought these magic beans? News dump. All right, at the end of the week, check us out for Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Hopefully, I will have fun.
Agreed. I would also like to have fun.
That's really all I want in this movie. I'm not going into this like it might have been IGN, and we're not here to pile on IGN again. But they said something along the lines of like this movie goes for, the Burton aesthetic over having a heart. And I'm like, that's the fucking point of this movie. Stop asking for movies to have heart.
Yeah, I don't need
does it need heart?
I don't need an emotional story at the core of Beetlejuice. I just want more fun in the afterlife.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
And that looks like what we're getting. We're getting Willem Dafoe.
And like to review it through that lens is so dumb because going into that movie, you didn't expect it to have heart. So why would you include that in your review?
Does the original movie, I guess it has a little bit of heart at the end with Lydia.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Daylight come and you want to go home. That was one of the best. I think it was. I don't remember if it was Stuart Scott or Berman that did Jake Delhomme. Daylight come and you wanna Delhomme.
That's got to be Chris Berman.
Might be.
We should just do. Let's do a Chris Berman pod soon. We can do. I would say top. That's a good one. I would say top 10 Bermanisms, but there's too many. And like even just off the top of my head, Albert Winnie the Poohholes. CC, I was taking Sabathia. Rumbling, stumbling. Bum, 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 bum.
I used to love watching the highlights Sunday night with Chris Berman. And
I know that you don't love this game, but NFL 2K5 had a feature in the game where Chris Berman did highlights. What a fucking great idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. Maybe when he dies, we'll do something with that. Did I just jinx him?
I don't know.
He's an all-time great broadcaster, by the way.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So check us out at the end of the week. News Dump.